Hold on.
Good evening, everyone. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, I call this meeting of the Manor Independent School District to order on November 17, 2025 at
5:02 PM.
Let the record show that a quorum is present. This meeting has been duly called and notices of this meeting have been posted in accordance to the Open Meetings Act. Closed session, the board will now adjourn into executive session at
5:02 PM.
pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act, 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.129. Thank you. Hello? Good evening, everyone. We will now reconvene in open session at,
6:08 PM.
and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and Texas Pledge. Leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight is Maddie Rose English, a fifth grade student at Bluebonnet Trail Elementary. Maddie is a wonderful example of leadership and school pride, always kind to others, hardworking in class, and representing her school values with a smile. Please join me in welcoming Maddie as she leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to thee, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you so much. All right, team of 8. One of you, if you could please read the vision statement.
Manor ISD is the best district in Texas where we provide an equitable education for all scholars and graduate them ready to be leaders in our community.
Thank you, Trustee Rodriguez Barnett. And can I have one for the mission statement?
Collectively as a community, Manor ISD provides equitable resources, a safe learning environment, and high-quality educational services for all scholars to successfully achieve and reach their full potential.
Thank you, Trustee Howard. We're going to move on to item number 6, recognition. 6.1, November Staff of the Month, Maritza Gallaga.
Team of 8, that's right. We're starting off with our staff recognitions, which is our monthly segment where our staff members from across our district are highlighted for their amazing work. For our staff members here this evening, when your name is called, if you'll just walk up to the left-hand side of here, you'll shake all the hands of our trustees, but don't go anywhere. Just stand right there just for a little bit. And when everyone wraps up, we'll gather in the middle and take a photo, take a group photo. And then once you're done with that, you're going to head outside for your individual photos. So we're going to get started. I already did that, so next slide. From Blake Manor Elementary, Jessica Reyes, second grade teacher, and Karen Hernandez, parent liaison. From Bluebonnet Trail Elementary, Melody Thomas, pre-K through 4th grade, and pre-K 4, and William Purcell. From the CDC, Alexis Cardenas, who works with our infant through pre-K students. From Decker Elementary School, Hortensia Mendez, special education, and Samantha Valdez, aide. From Lagos Elementary School, Monica Chambers, 4th grade language arts, and Connie Squires, tech. From Oak Meadows Elementary School, Shannon Abbott, 1st grade teacher, and Myra Morales, 4th grade bilingual assistant. From Pioneer Crossing Elementary School, Carlos Ortiz, 1st grade dual language, and Dania Percastague, life skills. From Presidential Meadows Elementary School, Brittany Sutton and Kaylin Reyes. From Shadow Glen Elementary School, Liwanag Brusas, FAC, and Bonnie Garcia. From Manor Rise Academy, Romel Revasecano, Elementary Resource Inclusion, and Kaya Jackson, 4th grade SOAR assistant. From Decker Middle School, Arsha Walton, counselor, and Selena Crane, counselor. From Manor New Tech Middle School, Alejandro Rodriguez, RLA, and Dianelli Jaramillo, receptionist. From Manor Excel Academy, Johnny Lewis, secondary photography. From Manor High School, Julie Carswell, medical terminology, and Danielle Keller, nurse. And from Manor New Tech High School, Leslie DeLeon, art teacher, and Jessica Lassard, social worker.
Alrighty, we can start getting closer, bunching in. More. I might have to do 2 rows. Little more in, little more in. We get someone in between those 2 gentlemen right there too. 4 people. There y'all go. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
For our next recognition, we do have a special guest with us, and I'll go ahead and welcome him up. It's Waco ISD Police Chief Craig Goodman.
Good evening, President Cortez, Superintendent Dr. Sermani, board members, and citizens of Manor ISD. My name is Craig Goodman. I'm Chief of Police with Waco ISD Police Department. I'm honored this evening to be representing the Texas Police Chiefs Association in the accreditation program. The Texas Police Chiefs Association is made up of hundreds of police chiefs and command staff throughout the state who are dedicated to professionalism in policing. I'm proud to be here this evening to present the Manor ISD Police Department with a Certificate of Texas Law Enforcement Accreditation. Approximately 20 years ago, the association developed an accreditation program for Texas law enforcement. Many of you know about the accreditation programs for schools, universities, and hospitals. They're all programs of professional excellence and require entities to prove compliance with a set of professional standards. Our program seeks to accomplish similar goals and objectives. It is a voluntary program where agencies must prove they meet 173 standards. The standards are based on Texas law, Texas court decisions, and contemporary best practices for law enforcement. These standards address the full range of operations such as use of force, protection of individual rights, vehicle pursuits, property and evidence management, patrol and investigative operations, and proper training. ISD policing is growing so much that the association understands that we need a chapter specific to what we're doing, and what will be coming out in the near future is Chapter 13 that addresses educational policing in universities, ISDs, and so forth. So, again, this is a very important step in the right direction. The program has become the gold standard for professional law enforcement in Texas. Police agencies across the state are working diligently to meet these requirements. The Manor ISD Police Department has now achieved the accreditation status, number 223rd in the state out of 224th thus far, and it was not easy to accomplish. The agency spent over 2 years auditing and modifying all of its policies, procedures, and operations in order to meet these rigorous standards. This culminated with trained assessors, law enforcement experts from other areas of the state make an on-site visit here for several days to physically check every policy, practice, and procedure. They interviewed staff, inspected facilities and operations, rode with officers, and ensured compliance with each standard. Their report was then taken to the accreditation committee, which is comprised of 9 chiefs of police and 1 sheriff from around the state, who reviewed the assessment, and they voted to award accreditation status to Manor ISD PD, and the vote was unanimous. Of the over 2,700 law enforcement agencies in Texas, again, there's only 224 agencies that have actually accomplished this irreplaceable goal. You should also know that Manor ISD Police Department is one of 31 ISDs in the state that has achieved this success. Our largest accredited agency is about 1,900 officers, and the smallest is about 4. Regardless of agency size, professional policing is an absolute must. The citizens of Texas deserve this level of professionalism, and the entire community will benefit from this accomplishment. This evening, we officially recognize Chief Clarence Yarbrough and the Manor ISD Police Department for their outstanding performance in achieving accreditation. Special recognition is also needed for the difficult role the program manager, Nita Smith, had in achieving this accreditation status. The role of program manager is vital in accomplishing this professional achievement, and it takes an individual with the ability to be patient and goal-oriented. What does this mean to your community? It assures both the school district and the citizens of this community that their ISD Police Department is operating in a manner that reflects the current best practices of Texas law enforcement. It means your police department is continually striving for professional excellence. It means your police department is one of the very best in the state. The certificate we present this evening is symbolic. While it is clearly the mark of professional excellence, the real value of the program is in the process they must complete to receive the certificate. And this is not the end of the process. The department must submit annual reports to prove continued compliance, and in 4 years, TPCA will be back for another on-site inspection to ensure the agency is continuing to comply with all standards. The Manor ISD Police Department is a leader in law enforcement in Texas. You should be very proud of their accomplishment. Chief Yarbrough, if you would, please come forward. I'm going to read to you real quick what the certificate says, and then if I want to do a photo, that'd be great. Okay. To all that see the certificate, know that the Manor ISD Police Department, having fulfilled the necessary qualifications and mandatory requirements of the Texas Police Chiefs Association's Texas Law Enforcement Best Practices Accreditation Program by voluntarily proving their compliance with the Texas Law Enforcement Best Practices, the Texas Police Chiefs Association Foundation Board of Directors does hereby award this certificate of accreditation effective September 30th, 2025.
Woo! Come on, come on, come on.
Let's go, family.
Let's go. Congratulations! Woo! Thank you so much for coming all the way over here. Way to go, Chief. Congratulations. 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 Wow.
That's right.
Wow. Way to go. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yay.
Hello.
Yay.
Hugs. Hugs. It's all hugs. It's all hugs.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Woo.
She's going with all the tats I was telling you about. On the end?
Way to go. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
How you doing? I haven't seen you in a while.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. And I know we made you do all the work, so congratulations to you too.
Congratulations. That's right. Felicidades.
I know.
Just climb up on.
Oh, yeah, Dr.
I'm glad
Sermani.
we don't have a pole up here. So you climb up on that.
I know, right? I know. I cannot. You guys need to get a ladder or stool.
That's cool.
You could get on the chair, on the stairs.
Ready? Everyone look over here. 1, 2, 3. One more. Just keep smiling. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Yeah.
One of 31.
My cheeks hurt. Smiling.
One of 31.
Manor ISD PD, thank you so much. Chief, this is a great accomplishment. The vision, and now look at where we are now. So thank you very much, making us proud. All right, so now we're going to move on to, oh, we have no public forum. No, nobody signed up, so we're going to move on to closed session action items. 8.1, consideration and approval of Educator Chapter 21 contract abandonment.
Madam President,
Yes.
I move that the board make a finding that there is not good cause to support Norma Moran's resignation from their position at Manor ISD.
I have a motion by trustee Rodriguez Barnett to, for no good cause for 8.1, Norma Moran. Do I have a second? Okay. Second by trustee Dr. Mary Thomas. All those in favor?
Aye.
7. Passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, we're going to go down to 9.1, Superintendent Update, State Student Safety Update.
We have a new feature today. They gave me a clicker. Ooh. I know.
Dr. Bennett,
I know, I heard
go
the
for
oohs and
that.
ahs from the audience. All right, well, Board, as usual, we want to have our monthly student safety. The one thing I do want to point out to, we do now have 3 the recommendations that were dependent on a funding source, and we were depending on the 2025 bond. I'll talk about those a little bit later on, but I do want to know that there are 3 of these that we cannot do without a funding source at this point. There are 6 still in progress. 1 of those will take into the spring. Another 3 of those are looking to be completed before we leave for winter break. So we are nearing the end of all of those. I got some points of pride I want to show, and this is the first I've gotten to do since volleyball season ended. I don't know if you knew that the Lady Titans set a school record for wins this season and went to the playoffs, so good clap to our Lady Titans. And we even managed to embed video this time, so you're going to see the walk through the hallways of the volleyball team. I also want to recognize a couple of Lady Mustangs who also got honorable mention, all districts, volleyball ladies, so give them a hand up. So I got to say their names. I always tell them I'll shout out their names if they watch. So Mila Wright and Simone Mendez. And I have to shout out to Oak Meadows Elementary, if you didn't know, along with the food service. Ryan Sengel, would you mind waving? With the food services and Director Sengel, Oak Meadows has been growing food at their school, and they harvested some. I sent them a picture. I had a sandwich with the lettuce. It's very good. HEB, you run for your money. I'm telling you, that lettuce is better than you get there. But I want to thank Ms. Cobb. Oh, there she is. There's Ms. Cobb. Ms. Cobb, raise your hand too. So I want to thank you for that. And then finally, I just since Halloween was there, central office got into the spirit. I put those up there. This is what happens when I'm out of the state, when I'm at a wedding. They all had some fun in good spirit. We thought we'd throw that up there just to show the costumes. All right, now down to some business. Want to talk bond 2025. Of course, we had a bond election that didn't pass, and so I've got some comments I want to make about that, and then some steps moving forward for the community and for our staff and our trustees, of course. You know, one of the things I always tell people, it was interesting after the election, there were a lot of people that in the community, even at football games, were asking me, are you okay? Are you mad? I'm like, no, I mean, I'm part of this community. The community spoke to me. Now it's our job to interpret what that message was and what does that mean for us moving forward. And so, you know, I don't like to lose elections, so I was upset, to be truthful, I was upset for a little while, but, you know, I remember, you know, this is a community, and they spoke, and that's fine. The initial conversations we had, that there was a lot of economic concerns on people's mind. As you knew, at the time of the election, the government was shut down, there were SNAP benefits ending, and anecdotally, we heard a lot of that, that was a reason for a no vote. That being said, I'm going to tell you a few of the things we're going to do to listen to the community, because it's not enough just to get the anecdotal stories we hear. We need to get some survey data and some other data to really understand what is it that our community wants us to spend the money on for our students. And we need to understand what about our messaging didn't work, or whether they want the money to be going in a different direction. And then finally, I want to emphasize, and I said this during the election, I'll say this now, just because a bond election fails doesn't mean the needs went away. We still have ACs that are breaking, we have a foundation that we need to fix, and we got a couple of roofs that are going to go bad over time. So that has not disappeared. And I do believe our community wants our kids to have those things, and so we're going to have to think about when we should move forward with those future bond proposal. As I always say, it's not a question of when we're going to have a bond proposal. I'm sorry, it's not a question of if we will have another bond proposal, because that is the way the state of Texas requires us to raise funds in order to fix buildings. There is no other way to do it. So there will be a bond in the future. It's just a question of when. And that's what we're going to be listening to our community for in the future. So for the community out there and our staff, there will be some stakeholder groups to talk about it, and there's definitely going to be some surveys. And that first one you can see, we're going to be surveying our staff to get their perspectives on what they thought and how they voted, but also some surveys, of course, to the community at large. What we're going to do with that information is, over the course of the next month and a half or so, we're going to determine, are there any changes to the content of the bond that we need to make? We didn't have a lot of negative feedback about what was in the bond itself, and so I'm curious to see if maybe it wasn't expressed, and so we want to listen for that. My intention, trustees, is to, by the January board meeting, to bring forward some sort of recommendation to you about where I think we need to go as far as a future bond, whether that's May 2026 or May 2027 or some other date in the future. Now, ultimately, the board decides whether we have an election or not, and so it'll be up to you, but I will bring that recommendation to you from administration by January.
Dr. Sarmani, are you done with this?
I've got more, but I'm happy to answer questions the whole way through.
Well, I think it's important to know, and it's been on my mind, to really acknowledge our staff that worked tirelessly throughout all these months, 18 months, to plan this bond. And I just want to say that your hard work does not go unnoticed. We know it took a lot of hard work, and I just want everybody to know that, you know, I'm grateful. We are grateful. And just because of these results doesn't mean anything on your part. We're going to continue supporting you, and, you know, we're going to do better, and we're in this together. So I just want to make sure you know that we value your hard work, and your hard work did not go unnoticed.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And also, the citizens groups that also supported this, this work not only does it not go unnoticed, but this work is actually a foundation of all future bonds. Because the work that was identified doesn't disappear, it's just we need to decide which groups of that work we go forward with when. So that work doesn't disappear, it's valued work, and it was needed work, and we're just going to build upon it. But since we're post-election, there are some things, some factual information I need to put out there, and this is for the trustees, because this is going to help inform decision-making, and for the community, it's to help to understand why we're going to have to make some decisions we've got to make. We are estimating there's about a 4% escalation cost, so a $385 million bond will cost more in the future. Just because of inflation. And so that's just an estimate up there. And not everybody realizes that costs are increasing rapidly. If you see what's happening at the grocery store, it's happening in construction also. The three safety projects that are delayed, we're going to attempt to address Joyce Turner with this bond, changing the layout of Maynard Newtek High School to improve the safety. And there were some safety features, including fencing and camera, that was in this bond for elementary schools. There's not a funding source at this time. Bluebonnet Trail Elementary School, just a quick explanation. Right now, it is estimated to be a $32 million renovation for Bluebonnet Trail Elementary School. There is a point where it makes more sense to build a brand-new elementary school, which will be about $60 million in future costs. Somebody asked me, I can't tell you when that's going to be. It really depends when the systems all start to fail. And I can't tell you when that's going to be. Engineers will just tell you there is a point where we will recommend to you don't even bother trying to fix the building, to rebuild the building. And so that's informing part of our timeline as to when we need to address this. Included in that $100 million is the $30 million for Bluebonnet Trail, but there is $100 million in deferred maintenance from the past and maintenance that needs to be done in the next 6 to 8 years that does not have a funding source at this time. That doesn't go away. Deferred maintenance is things from the past, and so every year as we move forward, more of that maintenance becomes deferred maintenance because we haven't done it yet. And so we estimate $100 million over 6 to 8 years that needs to be addressed. Then finally, we do have student and staff technology. It is beginning to fail. It is going to begin to fail at faster rates. And I'm going to give you an example. It's not even just, David gave me this one. I don't think David's here, but there is software that the education agency uses to do testing on devices. A number of our devices no longer will even update to use that software. And so it's not even like the device fails. The companies don't update those devices any longer to be able to take the software that we're required to use to implement the program. So we are going to have to find a way to address that as well. And so if you hear us doing different things, a lot of this is going to come back to we don't have those funding sources right now, so we're going to have to do something different. I also want to talk a little bit about the financial constraints that the district is moving into. This slide was always going to be in November because we're about to turn our attention, we actually already have, to the 26-27 budget. As I've told many people, we balanced our budget, which is a huge, huge accomplishment. I don't pretend like we balance the budget the way we want to for the future. So we are going to start making those adjustments and start gathering that feedback. But everybody needs to have a clear picture of the constraints we're under. When you have a balanced budget, if you're going to spend money in one place, it's got to come from somewhere. And in that, we have some increased costs and considerations that I have up here that's important for people to be aware of. So one of the things that's new on this list, though, is all the deferred maintenance projects. So at some point, if an air conditioning fails, we either have to abandon that classroom or we have to fix the AC. So we've got to find the money to be able to afford to fix the AC, or literally we will abandon classrooms. It's just what's going to happen. The other thing that's new here, and Mr. Santiago can talk more about this later on, is in talking with one of the rating agencies, they want to see us replenish our fund balance over the next 2 years to avoid them decreasing our rating. Right now, we have a strong financial rating, and for the public, that's your credit score, basically, and we're good, but they want to see more money in our savings account in the next 2 years, or they will consider us for downgrading our credit rating. And of course, that impacts future bonds and future loans. The good news is we're moving in that direction of increasing our fund balance, but the thing people need to understand, we can't just balance the budget. We actually have to have surpluses in order to build up the fund balance. So that's got to be put into some of our long-term planning here. And then, of course, we always got to be competitive with compensation. We want to manage the workload of our staff. I put classroom sizes up there, but even our maintenance staff, we need to think about and the amount of workload we're asking them to do as well. And then finally, our healthcare providers are saying we should be looking at for a 20 to 30% increase in healthcare premiums. And we're going to have to make a decision as a district how much of that, if all of it, we absorb, or are we going to pass that on? So all of this put together is what the constraints that are on our budget that we're navigating moving into 26-27. I know I see some long faces out there. So let me just give you the one good thing is you balance the budget. And I say it wasn't just me, it was all of us. We balanced the budget. That means we at least have a choice is what we want to do to accomplish these things, where other people are just slashing and burning because they don't have a choice. We do, which is why we're going to enter this next phase in conversation about our priorities so that we know which of these things we're going to do. And President Cortez, I think you were going to say something?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay. I do have some things that independent of that conversation about how much we're going to address workload versus compensation versus healthcare, there are some things that I'm going to recommend that we do and that we're going to start considering, and I want to just go ahead and put that out there. Currently, we have $1.3 million in 2019 bond interest that has not been spent. And that was, right now, it's earmarked for a pole vault and discus at New Tech High School and an amphitheater. I'm going to recommend that we don't do those projects and we hold that money back in order to pay for any deferred maintenance that may come along. Now, that is money that has been allocated already to those projects. It will require a future board vote to allocate that money in a different direction. But I just wanted to know I'm going to recommend that. The reason we never started those projects is pending a bond vote, we were going to master plan the whole area to find out where is the best place for those locations for those items. But obviously, without a bond, we're not master planning or don't have the funds to master plan the area. I am going to be looking, we already have started looking at the transportation system. We're looking at whether we reduce some more routes in different places and different schools in order to decrease the number of riders and, of course, the number of money and the amount of miles that our buses are going. That's another place that I'm hoping to bring some dollar amounts that could save us. We need to consider consolidating some of the programming. I believe that we can improve student achievement by combining some of our dual language programs, and the reason for that is it is very difficult in Central Texas to fully staff dual language programs at every single campus. And just like other districts, we have vacancies. And so collapsing those vacancies by combining programs at schools in the neighborhood, you have an opportunity to reduce the number of teachers you want and increase the efficiency while improving student achievement. And so I'll be bringing some real numbers to you in the future to give you some idea of what that impact would be. Finally, we're still looking at other things we can do internally. Some of those are ending contracted services, and they already know I'm going to say this, and we agreed for me to say this. So I've been talking with Breakthrough. I know they provide a lot of things from tutoring to counseling to some summer programs. It is a $200,000 plus a year program that we're paying for, and they are going to work to try to find other funding to continue the program, but they know that we're going to scale back that program significantly, or rather our funding of that program significantly. So in return, I did say that if they can find the funding for their summer program, that we will provide the same building we're doing summer school, so it's not a lot of overhead cost to us, but they would provide the transportation costs and all the costs for the programming. So I'm just using that as an example. We are going to have to reduce some of the services that we have been offering through these contracts in order to be able to free up more money for the other things that I believe are a higher priority for our students and for our staff. And then finally, we want to maintain that lower than average central administration to campus ratio. I don't have those numbers fleshed out. Mr. Santiago and I have been doing some data I'm going to provide the board and the committee in the future. We've been comparing ourselves to other districts, and I'm proud to say we are where we need to be. In fact, we are a little bit lower than some of our peer districts in our ratio from administrative expenditures to campus instructional expenditures, but we have to stay there. And that's always a thing that's difficult sometimes, but we are in the right spot there. And so we'll bring those numbers, some nice graphs that Mr. Santiago has been creating, but we'll bring some of those forward so that we can show the community where we stand as far as our spending goes with other districts. But I want to stop there and open to any comments or questions the board has about these or about the timeline as far as future bond recommendations.
I have one question.
Trustee Rodriguez.
I know, and just looking at what's on the screen right now, I mean, one that is a quick pivot, and probably some families are out there thinking, what does this mean possibly for transportation, right? I know we recently increased the walk to a bus stop. What are you thinking, aside from minimizing perhaps routes, are you in the team even considering further than we already are? Help us understand what that might look like, because I'd like to put a pin in that and ease some minds so that families aren't thinking about that right out of the gate.
Well, I think the most I feel comfortable talking about is it's not going to happen this school year. And so there'll be a lot of lead time. I don't want to bring something up where I find out later it doesn't really save us that much money, so why did I even bring it up? I do intend in December to bring it up and say, here are the dollar amounts that I think we can save. And so if people hold on till December, so I have the actual savings, then I think it's worth talking at that point.
Perfect. I think that helps.
Trustee Patterson, did you add?
Comment is just, the public needs to know that the inability to pass the bond is going to cause superintendent and the board to make very tough decisions. The bond was necessary, really, it was no fluff in that bond. So when the superintendent says things like abandoning classrooms, that might come to fruition. We are very frugal and responsible with public dollars as a board. We're going to continue to do that. But just know that, 85 to 86% of any school district budget is people. So we just have some tough decisions coming up the next year or two.
Thank you, Trustee Patterson. All right, Dr. Sarmani. Information items. Monthly 10.1, monthly financial report.
Good
There's
evening.
no-
Team of 8.
Thank you.
Have any questions on the financial report? Okay, summarize.
We're good? We're good? Yep.
Okay, so touching up on the subject of long-term financing, refers mainly to about our credit rating. Last year, we were audited, not audited, but basically checked. Our financials were revised by the Moody's agency, and the financial result of that agency wasn't as harsh as this one. This is a different rating agency, S&P Global Financials. A credit rating, basically, it's an informed opinion of what our financial position is, and if an external view of whether we are going to be able to meet our liabilities, whether short-term or long-term. Short-term meaning operating expenses, our pay off of our loan, just 1 year debt, and long-term our bond debt. And so this credit rating report provides transparency to the public, to investors, to anybody who wants to see our financials, how we are navigating through this turmoil times. It depicts what actions the administration is taking to correct this. It also depicts what let me go through the presentation. What S&P audit results were, they will not downgrade us at this time. Our current rating is at a AA, stable. It will go from a stable position or outlook into a AA negative. Now, they did tell us, and they were very clear with us, that if we do not put our fund balance back to a solvent position, there is a possibility that we will be downgraded in a period of 2 years. So what the report highlights, it does reflect some positives for the district, which is a strong base, tax base that we do have. It is increasing based on the continual commercial and residential growth that we see in there. So that helps with maintaining our tax revenues flowing in and increasing and making up for some of those other losses in other areas. So that's good. The other thing that we have positive in the report is our enrollment. We have a steady enrollment. We have not reached to a point where it is it declines to a level where our wealth per student becomes less than the value, and then recapture hits. We're not at that point. So our level of enrollment is keeping up with at least with the level of growth that we see in our property values. The report did highlight financial weaknesses in our net worth values or net worth position. So over the last 3 years, highlighting here, we see a strong decline in the general fund balance, and the main one hit our books on year 24-25 last year. So as you were talking about these initiatives that we're going to take moving forward, last year at the same time you were in a worse position. We did not have a plan, and I look at our budget kind of like a driving a car approaching a curve, where if you don't have any control, well, you see the budget at that point. I see that we have control over the budget. We know what we can do to keep that car from skidding or getting out of control. We know what we have to do at this point to not wreck our car or our financial or budget position. So it does reflect a rapid deterioration of reserves as compared to our peers, schools similar size. So because of those things, our credit worthiness is in a right now in a negative position. They are really looking at what the district is going to do to correct this. The report highlights what actions we are taking. We try to convince them with everything that we are doing, even from bringing other sources unaccounted for, everything. We did our best to try to convince them. Nonetheless, we were not successful as the other time as we convinced Moody's. So this rating agency is a little bit more hard on us. So we have 2 years to correct our fund balance. There will be no direct impact into operations, but as Dr. Sormani mentioned, there will be a higher cost in the future on top of inflation costs, cost to issue new debt or even borrow on the short term.
Questions? Sir?
Trustee Patterson and then Trustee Rodriguez Barnett. Go ahead.
What should our reserves, what percentage should our reserves be?
Based on the unaudited report from 24-25, what we are looking at right now is a reserve of 1.2 months, operating months. Our reserves have to be at least no less than 4 months. So we are way far.
And of our peer districts that they compare us to, do they take into account whether those districts have balanced budgets, or are they going to surplus budgets?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, they do. And in fact, I looked at some of our districts, and their fund balance is in the 40 millions, where we were about 4 years ago, where we did not have to dip into the fund balance. So yes, it has to be at least somewhere in there to enable us to operate within a 4 to 5 month period.
So I had another question. Based on the forecast that you see for us and knowing the direction, a year or two out, even 3 years where you've had us, when we've sat down to do budget workshops and things like that, we're headed in the right direction. My question is, what's the delta from here now to this 2 years that's looming? Are we going to be at that point where we may not even be asking for the borrowing like we have been? So help me understand what that looks like.
I don't think we have any other options. We have to correct this in a period of 2 years. Dr. Sormani mentioned just a balanced budget is not going to do anything. We have to pass surplus budgets, or we have to be more frugal than what we currently are, and at the end of the year expect to put more into fund balance.
Go ahead.
I know Mr. Santiago doesn't want me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. So Tonight, you have an amendment in consent that you voted on. It shows a balanced budget on there. Mr. Santiago purposely did not put in there all the one-time dollars that are coming in, because we're out of sight, out of mind. It goes straight into our fund balance. And so, Mr. Santiago did a fantastic job of auditing past years, and he's recouping almost $4 million from TEA in overpayments and recapture, and so that's not reflected in that amendment. We're going to run a surplus. I wanted to point that out because it doesn't show that on the amendment, but we are actually technically running a surplus. But we're trying to take all one-time income and put it aside so that we don't spend it. We live within our means and keep growing that fund balance.
I think it's a good point to go into detail on this report, because there's a lot happening right here that was not happening last year. Last year, at this same time, we were not getting the same amount of state funding. We got new funding. Our ADA was increased, the basic allotment. The other thing that's happening this year that was not happening last year is our state payments were not coming in on time, which is the reason why I had to come to y'all and ask for a $30 million loan last year in May. But as a result of those state payments coming in, I still have about $17 million on reserves of untapped loan proceeds, which is going to allow us to pay our note easier or sooner than we had anticipated. Going to be some cost savings in there and interest cost. The thing right here is what Dr. Somani mentioned. We did not put in the budget that we adopted that we were going to appeal the state controller's values. That brought in more than $4 million back. That's 2 years of unappealed state controller values. We are in the process of appealing the 23-24 and the 24-25. So we should expect a little bit more, and we're not anticipating, we're not accounting for that in the operating budget. But that's going to help us increase those reserves.
Well, thank you, Moises, for all this in-depth conversation on the credit report, ratings, and everything. I remember September of last year, October last year, when we were going for loans and we knew we were going to go loans again. I kept on asking if it would affect us, and I knew, for the credit rating, and that was a concern. But what I do really appreciate is that we kind of knew this was going to be happening, but what I really appreciate is all the monies you found, helping us balance the budget, and then continuing to find areas like underneath the rug, the sofas, wherever you're finding and helping us identify opportunities where we can see more revenue, recapture more revenue. And I really appreciate that because I have to say, in the state of the climate that we are in public education, we're one of the few districts that have been able to balance a budget despite of all the setbacks and all the needs that we have. And I just can't thank you guys enough. And we're already in progress in a plan moving forward to make sure we put more money in the fund balance. And I just hope that everybody knows all the hard work that has been done behind it and the support of the board, the team of 8, and all the hard work you've done. So, thank you.
It's been a pretty tough ride, but it's a collaborative effort right here, and I feel that we're heading in the right direction.
Thank you.
I'm going to go into the first.
So then, so that was 10.2 on the first rating. Oh, 10.1, okay.
I'm going to continue on the first read.
You can continue, go ahead, yes.
Yes? Okay. So this is the 24-25 first financial report card, and it's based on the 23-24 data. A lot of this that I'm going to present, of course, it's a year behind, but some of these indicators that we are passing might not be the same situation for the 24-25. So I'm going to reference this I'm going to highlight those indicators when we get to those. Of course, the purpose of this rating is to provide school districts, encourage them to better manage their finances and provide the maximum allocation possible for direct instructional purpose. There are 4 different types of ratings that school districts receive, and A, superior, and right after the above standard, and then C, standards and substandard achievements. And for this, the first rating also has 3 different types of indicators. The first 5 are critical ones, which if a school district fails one, it is immediately put as the above standard category. The solvency indicators, and then you have your financial competency indicators from 15 to 21. So there's a total of 21 indicators. The school district received a superior rating, increased by 2 points over the previous year. So this is the 3rd time consecutively in the year that the school district has received a superior achievement. So for our financial status. So let me go into the critical indicators. The first financial was if the audit was completed and submitted on time, yes. And was there an unmodified opinion? That's the highest a school district can receive, opinion can receive, so yes. And then indicator number 3 has to do with the district being in compliance with all payments of all debt agreements during the fiscal year, so yes. Indicator number 4, did the district make timely payments to the organizations such as TRS, Workforce Commission, the IRS, and of course we made all timely payments, so we received a yes. Indicator number 5 was the net position of the district was a positive or greater than 0, and yes it was. We actually had a 43.9 million net position during this particular year. Indicator number 6 was the average changed fund balances over the last 3 years, less than 25% decrease, or did the current year assigned and unassigned fund balances exceeded 75 days of operational expenses? And yes, it was actually 98 days. So this was a good year for the school. Was the number of days cash on hand and current investments in the general fund for the school district sufficient to cover operating expenditures? And yes, it was sufficient. It was actually 118 days, almost about four months, something like that. Was a measure of current assets and current liabilities ratio for the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt? This one measures if we're able to meet our short-term or less than 1 year obligations. And so we scored 10 on this one. Did the school district's general fund revenues equal or exceeded expenditures, excluding facilities and acquisitions? So yes, we had a surplus. Revenues did exceeded expenditures in this particular year, but this is the one that's going to affect us in 24-25. So there's a possible chance that this rating might, or this indicator might decrease as a result of the deficit at the end of the year. So I just want to make aware of that. Was the ratio of long-term liabilities to assets, and this one measures whether the school district is able to pay long-term debt, meet our bond obligations. And this one we scored a 6, and actually our total assets changed from 75 to 80%, which is good. But we are looking at more or less of a ratio of 60%, and we are trying to achieve this with a continuing defeasance of bonds. So that's our only way that we can improve this one, either increase our assets or continue defeasing. Was the correlation between future debt requirements and the district's assessed property values. This one we scored a maximum of 8 points. This one is a brand new indicator. So as values rise here, this ratio should help increase. So the ideal ratio is to be somewhere in the 4% point average in order to generate those 10 points in this area. Indicator 13 was the school district's administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold ratio. This is the one that we normally look at, and we want to compare our peers to. We want to see what the administrative cost ratio is to the cost of providing instruction. So here we did make an improvement from 11% to down from 13% to 11%. The ideal point is to be somewhere within the 10% area, so the lower the better. Indicator 14, did the school district not receive a 15% decline in the student to staff ratios? And no, our enrollment increased, so we were able to stay there. So we received a maximum score of 10. And indicator number 16, did the comparison of the PIMS data to like information, the school district FAR resulted in a variance of less than 3%. So we passed that one. What this one measures is the accuracy of the data that we submit in PIMS versus what's reported in the audit report. Indicator number 17, did the external auditor reported the FAR? The annual financial report was free of any instances of material weaknesses, and there were none, so we passed this indicator. Number 18, did the external independent auditor indicate the FAR was free of any instances of material non-compliance for grants, contracts, and laws related to local, state, and federal funds? This one has to do more with the management and administration of programs and operations. So maximize 10 points on that one. Indicator 19, did the school district post the required financial information on its website? And yes, we met all of those public legislation requirements. Did the school district's administration and school board discuss any changes and or impact to local, state, and federal funding on a board meeting within 120 days before the district adopted its budget? Yes, we did. And that is critical that we discuss this information because it is what our revenues for that we operate with are based on. The last indicator, did the school district receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than one fiscal year over an allocation of FSP funding because of a financial hardship? We did receive an adjustment to our state funded, but not as a result of a financial hardship on this particular year. Those mainly had to do with more the over projection of ADA. But school districts usually fail this rate when they are not able to repay or reimburse the state over a period of 2 to 3 years. Other disclosures right here have to do with the superintendent's contract, and there's a link right there where anyone can click to view the superintendent's contract. And right here is your expenditures as it relates to travel, meals, lodging, transportation, and this is all the board present at the time for this rating report. And then we have right here more disclosures and the continuing disclosures right here. And again, the district did pass this rating with a superior achievement and a score of 92. Any questions?
Do we have any questions from the audience? Any question from our trustees? All right, guess we're good to go. Thank you, Moises. Thank you very much. 10.3, 2019 bond update.
Good evening, Team of 8. So I'm going to call up here Armando in case y'all have any questions for me. Like last time. Yeah.
I don't have anything.
So we do have just to highlight, Armando will highlight a couple of fencing projects that we have at the Maynard High School. We had 3 additional fencing projects, so I'll let him talk a little bit about that. I'll show you the pictures.
Good evening, Team of 8. The ongoing projects we have right now are going to be at the Maynard High School complex. Actually, today, IT met with access control, and I'll have my hardware by the end of the month, and we'll be having it installed during our Christmas break. So that's pretty much it for the ongoing projects we have now for the 2019 bond.
Well, good.
Any additional questions?
I just saw a bunch complete.
It's getting better.
So pretty much. No, I guess we're all good. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll move on to 10.4, GPM number 3, CCMR Board Monitoring Report. Dr. Williams-Hill.
Good evening, Team of 8.
Good evening.
I have the pleasure of presenting to you tonight an update on our Goal Progress Measure 3. And so we will start with the class of 2023 data. The last update you received was April 2025. And so since then, we've received some updated reports. On this particular slide for 2023, the only update that you see are that there are actual numbers instead of rounding up from April. So these are the numbers on the actual taper report. That's the only difference. For the class of 2024, if you take a look at the college prep course credit, that number remained the same at 17.5%. And the TSI assessment criteria for reading and math, for reading it remained the same. And for math, it increased to 35.7%, whereas your last update you received, it was 15%. If you look down at the career section in blue, that data has increased from 4% to 11.5%. And over to the far right, where it says met both TSI criteria at 43.1%, that number remained the same. And as we get deeper into the presentation, I'll talk about some of the adjustments and findings we've made over the last several months. We do have an update on the military slide. We had previously reported 0%, and that was one of those data points that we talked about during the taper report, that we did not have a mechanism to accurately report military data because Texas had not yet had an agreement with the federal government. And in January 2025, that agreement was made, and so they're working out the details. So we've had some students and families report since the last update. Any questions about school year 2024? Or graduating class 2024? For the class of 2025, as you know, CCMR is a lagging data, lagging in a year. So some of the most notable updates for the college section and the college prep course credit, we have 30%. For the TSI assessment for math, it's 50%. And our data sources for the 2025 graduating class of 2025 is our OnData suite, our early warning indicator, in which we keep track of data on students so that we can see which areas of CCMR our students can meet that criteria. Okay. This data on this slide is as of October 31st, which is our snapshot date for this year. And so we do expect for those numbers to be updated.
Madam President, can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, trustee Lowry.
I was wondering, of the college prep assessments that are showing here, which ones are ones that we make a point to provide accessibility for our students to take, which are more just if they happen to take it, then that data comes in. It looks like numbers are going down for meeting ACT criteria, but that could be that that's just not the assessment that students are preferring now. So I was just wondering about that.
Right. So this is as of data of October 31st. So what you're seeing for you are students who have met this criteria as of October 31st. And so the assessments that the district is working on is primarily TSI and TSI-A, to get students to increase their performance levels and proficiency in TSI-A. And so that's the focus that we have. The SAT and the ACT test, that is student select and choice. But the district is focusing on TSI-A for all students right now.
Thank you.
So the total CCMR credit from one year to the next went from 62 to 71. Is that significant?
That is significant, but that's also
But that's
based
also
upon the
only
data as of October 31st. Yes. And so there will be some updates to the data as the year progresses.
I would say that that data is already trending very nicely. And it's impressive that we're only talking about the fall semester. So thank you for all of this work.
Thank you.
25.
Remember, that's the class of 2025, it's already graduated. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
but we can collect CCMR indicators through October 31st. So we don't necessarily have everything for the class of 2025.
Okay.
So we're about to look, what you're talking about, we're about to look at now.
So for the graduating class of 2026, what you have before you is still data as of October 31st, 2025. And you can see there that we are at 31%, and that's as of October 31st, 2025.
But hopefully we'll probably reach 80 some.
Yes, and we will get to that in the upcoming slides.
Yes.
And Dr. Williams Hill, on that slide, I just want to remind everybody, in order to keep our data clean, this is literally if the school year stopped today, this is what TEA would give us credit for. But of course, kids haven't completed their coursework, so we're not claiming them until we can claim them. Now, she'll talk about any future projections they may have or may not have. So I just want to be clear, that's not the data. That's like right this second.
Can I ask a question on the military piece? Do principals know anybody that's already made a commitment to the military? Do we know in continuing to work with our relationships with all branches, do we know if there are any seniors that their junior year over the summer they did boot camp? Because that is definitely one way to get them in and to know that number, and then you've got somebody recruiting, right, that's on your campus and actively already in the armed forces.
I do not know that number, but I can provide an update in the Friday report.
Okay.
Ms. Rodriguez-Barnett, I did have an update from our Marine guy. I don't know if I said this here, but he told me that the Pentagon is now open for ROTC, official junior ROTC applications. They haven't for a really long time, so I'm excited to try to make sure we get in on both campuses. And so that'll help that number as well. I think that's a no-brainer for us to get into that. But he was waiting for the government shutdown to end before he could do anything about it.
So we have our overall CCMR goal in which you have set the metrics for us to strive towards. And so you will see some updates to the numbers that you were provided in April of 2025. And so our last report for 2024 was 59%, so we're at 62%. and 71% with the 2025 data. Any questions about this? No.
I know, I just killed one too.
I will move fast, but not as quickly as the ants are moving. All right. So goal progress measure 3.1, that's for the TSI compliance in English and math. And one of your questions is, what is the test that we are focusing on? And that's an indicator of college readiness for students, we know. And we know with how they score on that test determines what courses they have to take in high school or in college. And so you'll see that the metrics that you set for 24 and 25, that we have met those metrics for the past 2 years and are striving to meet that 50% or more for 2026 as well. For goal progress measure 3.2, that is the dual credit course indicator. You see, for the past 2 years, we have not met that criteria by double digits. And our goal for 2026 is 40%. And then we'll talk about what we have found over the past several months. Then GPM 3.3, regarding IBCs. You see that in 2024, our numbers were 11.5%, which is well below the goal that was set, as well as for 2025, 6.57%, which is well below the 15%, with 2026 a goal of 20%. So if we take each of the goal progress measures by 3.1, 3.2 by subject area, for the past few months, the team has been identifying what are the challenges, what are the interventions. If we apply those interventions, what are the expected outcomes, and how will that impact the goal progress measures? So when we talk about TSIA, when we looked at the data, the team realized that there needs to be more targeted instruction for students at the 8th through 12th grade in both English and math. And so what the CIA and academic support team did is that they created an intervention plan that utilizes time in class during intervention periods in which students can access at home to increase their reading and math fluency and comprehension on the TSIA. So the district has purchased software to use in those 4 different areas so that students can actually see and teachers can see in real time their level of proficiency and progress and anticipate how they will score on the TSIA. The expected outcome by focusing on that and leveraging the software is getting real-time data in that moment to where teachers can work with students, parents can also see, and students can work at home, and counselors and teachers can have those conversations about what needs to happen next for Tammy because she scored this on the assessment, on the platform that is calibrated to student learning. By doing that, we hope to catch our students early in the process and provide interventions rather than waiting. And the expected outcome is that for the 25-26 school year, our students will demonstrate a higher proficiency levels on the TSI assessment, resulting in an increased TSI assessment scores. So for 3.2 dual credit, TSIA also plays a role in the dual credit. What the team found is that in order to increase dual credit access and create and credit accrual, students must first pass the TSIA test. So that was one challenge that the team discovered. Another challenge was that the percentage of students meeting the dual credit indicator has remained unchanged for the past couple of years. And so what the team decided to do was to leverage that software that they purchased and to have the interventions at those 4 opportune times for students during their intervention courses during the day, during enrichment time, during advisory, and at home. And so with the same expected outcome, by having students focusing on the TSIA, the teachers and the counselors monitoring that data real time, will also impact the dual credit opportunities and access for students.
What is it enrichment time during the high school?
So enrichment time during high school is their, some people call it advisory, some campuses call it enrichment time. I don't know of any other names that they might call it. So enrichment.
So enrichment time and advice are basically the same thing.
Yes. Is that right, Ms. Butler?
Advisory lasts how long? How often is it?
It varies by campus. So it's anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes.
And it's every day?
On some campuses, yes. On other campuses, it's a modified schedule.
So, are the plans as varied as the schedules are?
So, good question. And so that is one of my questions as well as I learn about this process. How do we know that the time allotted is meaningful enough to produce the results that we want? And so part of the work that this team is doing is figuring out what each campus is doing, how often and when, so that we know that what has been put in place as an intervention will yield the results that we want. One of the platforms that Papaya Learning, I can't remember how many minutes per day, is it 10, 15 minutes? How many? Oh, 45 minutes twice a week, guaranteed to help students with their reading fluency. And so we do know that based upon that platform's promise and how the system is set up, that if we do that, then X, Y, and Z will happen. The next part is actually on the last slide that we'll talk about is each department is addressing the issue in a different way. The question is, are they complementing each other and not overlapping and creating duplicates? And that's our next step as a team, is that interdepartmental collaboration, because the counseling and guidance knows what work to do, the CIA knows what work to do, curriculum instruction assessment team knows what work to do, the academic support team knows what to do, and they've had conversations, and now it's time, are we yielding the results that we are desiring, as well as bringing in campus administration, part of that conversation for that exact reason. How do we know that the advisory or enrichment time, the 20, 30 minutes, or 45 minutes is enough time to yield those results?
I have a question. The interventions that we're using, the software that we're using, is increasing the test scores, which allows these students to take the dual credit classes. Is there a plan to address the dual credit course itself and students getting credit for those courses versus first getting in, right? And then once you're in, do we have interventions in place to help them pass those classes?
That I don't know if we have interventions to, for the students in the dual credit courses. That's part of my exploration into this area, because part of that piece, if we do one part and we don't have supports for the next part, it doesn't really help us much if we do not have a plan that we can articulate and we don't have progress monitoring. That's part of my work that I need to learn from the team, is if we do this, with our next step, with our intended results, how do we know that for dual credit that we are actually getting what we want? And if we're not successful during our progress monitoring, what is our backup plan? What do we pivot to? So I'll have an update for you.
I have a wondering, but I don't think this is a question for you, Dr. Williams. So I suppose my wondering leads me back to our discussion around technology and the capabilities of our students' technology to be able to handle the software that they're being asked to utilize. My wondering is centered around the intervention software and other softwares that we're having students utilize both at school and at home. I'm just curious where we're at in the number of students that we are ensured that they have the technology they need, that it's able to meet the needs of the programs.
I think that would be a good one to bring forward in December, because we are, that $1.3 million that I'm recommending we do something different with. Part of that's got to be allocated for Armando and his team for maintenance and failed systems. But we're also working with our bond council to see if we can divert some of that to critical technology needs. I do just know, just kind of a hallway chat, that we do have a backup plan. It's going to be, I hate to use this resource this way, but we would have to move a large number of devices from upper grade levels down to lower grade levels and switch out some newer devices up to the upper grade levels in order to address exactly what you're saying, because it's the upper grade levels that the software is becoming a problem. And so there is a backup plan. I'm hopefully going to avoid it, because it is a lot of man hours we're dedicating to just shuffling devices from one instead of going on a regular refresh schedule. So I know the tech people are
I know, I see
exactly
the
what I'm talking
tech
about.
All right, for GPM 3.3 for IBCs, one of the challenges that was discovered that in 2019 to 2022, PEA sunset some IBC programs, and Manor ISD did not adapt to that change and update its courses. And so what that means is generally when TEA sunsets programs, they give us about 2 to 3 years to make any adjustments to make sure that students can complete a pathway. We did not do that in 2019, and so that left us with some singleton classes or kids not able to complete the pathways. And so the CTE offerings, as a result of that, we have to be mindful of when those changes come to fruition. Just like last year in 24-25, there were some that were sunset again, and so we need to adjust. And so my question is, what did we do last year in order to prepare for this change that we know that was implemented last year? And so knowing that we did not do that in 2019, 2022, and one just came out last year, it's part of the conversation that I'll have with the team. What have we done to make some of those adjustments, given that these changes are there? And I'm told some adjustments were already made this year and aligning some of the courses that are parallel, and have made sure that students' pathways will not be interrupted by putting them in the new similarly programmed pathway, if that makes any sense. And so I'm digging a little bit deeper into that to make sure that we do not have another 2019-2022. The intervention for this challenge is that counselors have or will be conducting strategic student advising sessions to make sure that students are in the correct pathways according to their schedules and course selections, and that teachers, our CTE teachers, will also promote the programs and IBC opportunities for our students. And the expected outcome of that is that campus personnel, they're better positioned to be able to guide students in CTE pathways that reflect the current labor market trends and the changes from TEA about the IBCs. And our anticipated impact to goal progress measure 3.3 is that students will gain the skill sets and increase preparedness for the workforce so that we can meet that 20% goal progress measure. Another anticipated impact is that our teachers and counselors can speak to what the pathways actually are and be able to look at students' schedules to make the appropriate adjustments in time so that they are on the best pathway that is for them, and so that students are aware of the different pathways that they can be a part of. If I go back to this slide as an example for IBCs, So I was sitting in my office today, working through this process with one of the directors, and we were talking, and my question was, what are we doing for our students who receive special education services, as I am looking at the numbers. And so it just so happens that the executive director walked by, and I called him into my office and said, hey, we're having this conversation. What are we doing to make sure our students who receive special education services are on the appropriate pathways? And so I'm listening to both of them have a conversation. As I'm listening, as someone who's new to the department, what I hear is that we know what should be happening. One of the directors said the counselors will meet with the students. The executive director said yes, and during the transition art, and they had a conversation about what happens in 8th grade and 9th grade. And so what they realized as they were talking was who's progress monitoring and who's checking, and how are parents and students being informed of the different options for them, not just for the CCMR credit, but something that they're actually interested in and that it's attainable. And so through that conversation today and just over the past couple of weeks, I think we are realizing that people think things are happening and have good intentions for happening, but how are we intentionally checking to make sure that that's happening, and what systems do we have in place? So at the conclusion of that meeting, we're having another meeting to figure out, to make sure that what we expect and think is happening is actually happening in a way that is designed for students.
I would like to thank you for addressing that. The last update we had was April of this
Yes.
year. And Mr. Patterson had asked, how are we informing families about these pathways, not specific to students in special education, but overall? And there was no answer. So still maybe no answer, but I'm glad that it's being addressed.
And I think that's part of our learning experience. I know for me, our team is well-intentioned on making sure that things happen. Sometimes we just forget to pause and do some intentional checks, or rewind and maybe go back and adjust a few things. So I think everyone is working in their best capacity. We just have to learn for this particular process that it is cross-departmental, and we have to put the measures in place to get the results that we want to see. And so those are our next steps. So, which goes actually to the next slide, what the findings have been for me in particular, and a little bit for the team, that there are basically 3 categories of work that we need to do for our goal progress measure 3. And one of them is the CCMR resources. And so the team has been working on those for months to make sure that students have the resources that they need, that campus administration, they're meeting with the counseling and guidance department. And so Ms. Butler has been leading that charge and making sure that administration and counselors are on the same page. And the district CCMR team, who comprises that team, and what is the ultimate goal of that team? We know that district central office is here to support campuses, but what does that look like for CCMR as a concerted effort, and then via our individual departments? Using School Links, the post-secondary platform to support the data tracking, the district had the software last year, but added an additional component this year that will help us better track in real time and give us data about where students are and their pathways. And it also, the hope is to increase our data integrity and making sure that not only are we using the CCMR spreadsheet that many school districts use, but we have an added resource that allows us to make projections and predictions about student performance and goal planning. And then also the intervention tools such as Method Learning, Eduphoria, iExcel, and Papaya Tutoring as some of our CCMR resources. In the middle, what I also found is that for professional development, for our teachers, our CTE teachers as well, and making sure that they understand the scope and sequence of their courses and how IBCs, when it comes to testing, what should be done, advising students when you have them in their advisory classes, for all other non-CTE teachers. Our administrators, what does this actually mean? Slow down. What? I couldn't see you.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just telling you to summarize it.
Oh, to summarize it. I thought these were good minutes. So for our professional development, we do know that our registrars actually need some training as well, because combing through this, we found that there are some course coding errors that we need to fix and be mindful of. So it's a comprehensive approach to professional development. And then last and most importantly, we can do all of those things, but if students and parents do not know their options or why they're choosing a specific pathway rather than a school, that is what we're working on as well, a comprehensive plan to make sure that parents and students are not only informed, but they are connected to the different pathway options. Other questions?
When is this plan going to be implemented? Like, especially for the right side, when are parents and students gonna know what they need to do?
So we had a meeting before fall break to talk about when that would be and start planning that. And we know that information rollout is important and it needs to be done correctly and not be rushed for this next course sheet planning cycle, which starts right now. And so right now, what the plan is to make sure that students who are in their pathways and their parents know what the next scope, what the next course sequence is. And for those incoming, we're going to have to brush it up a little bit better with a full rollout next year, because we do not want to rush that information, but be very intentional about this upcoming course sequence to figure out how to get parents informed and students informed on the appropriate courses. So that is a general plan, but the actual planning process and project management tool, that will be forthcoming. So we have 2 project leads leading that, and so our next step is to put that plan on paper.
What about for seniors who are graduating 2026? Are there some interventions for them to for us to get our data trending in the right way?
So what I asked one of our directors to do is to audit back to the sophomores and tell me where they are, which students are lacking in 1 or 2 courses, who's on the pathway for completion, how many students do we have, what can we do starting with the last 3 years students to map that out. And she gave me some data to start working with, and we've already begun working on that.
Go ahead. I would just like to reiterate, I think it was last month, that when we are discussing what it is that we're going to do, that it's in the vein of that we inspect what we expect. And if you don't have a way to do that, then anything could come out. So to use that as a guide for all of these areas here.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, the good news is everyone is committed to students, which means that we are committed to meeting the goals that you have put before us. And so now it's just working a little bit more intentionally and differently to make sure that we are progress monitoring and are able to pivot or say this is good and keep sailing or coasting, or if we need to abort mission and try something different.
And I just wanted to add one thing, and one of the things I insist with the team and with Dr. Williams-Hill is they only bring to you the scores that we know we have, as opposed to predictive ones. So I don't want people to walk away thinking we're not trending in the right direction. We are trending in the right direction, and I fully expect us to get over 70% class of 2026, if not higher than that. I don't know, do you remember how many students who potentially can get an IBC this year?
Yeah, it's 3.
This is
262.
So there's 262 students who could potentially get an IBC. That's roughly 2 out of every 7 students, which it's almost 30%, which it was at 6% for the class of 2025. Potential. But I think it speaks to what you were just saying, which is the next step. How do we make sure they get across the finish line? That number itself is a huge jump because we never had the numbers who could even get it because they were going zigzag through all their CT. Now you actually have a group that's coming through that can actually get it. And so what you're saying is, right, that's the next step. Eastlake.
Yes, Eastlake. All right. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you very much. I guess we'll move on to 10.5, public hearing, targeted improvement plan, Blake Manor Elementary, Dr. Matt Benz.
Okay, good evening, team of 8.
Good evening.
I know I stand between you and your consent agenda, so I continue to work on my brevity. Last month, I came to you with the turnaround plans. That's the most urgent here that we have in terms of improvement planning. Today, I am coming to you to discuss the targeted improvement plans, which is that next tier down. And we are starting with Blake Manor Elementary, and I'll present briefly. We'll open up for questions, and if there's anybody from the public that wants to speak as well, this is the public hearing portion of our requirement. So yeah, as I said. So I just wanted to give a brief explanation, and then I'll be able to fly over this slide in the next couple presentations. But Blake Manor Elementary is required to complete a targeted improvement plan based on federal rating from 24-25 of comprehensive support and improvement. And the reason for that rating is chronic underperformance of one or more student demographic groups, or what people used to call as subgroups. So, question I get asked is, does this replace the campus improvement plan? No, they work in tandem. The campus improvement plan is much more in depth. The strategies in the target improvement plan are embedded within the campus improvement plan. So what's required for the TEA submission is to talk about those strategies, which I'll chat about in a second, share about what resources are needed in order to improve or implement the plan, and then how stakeholders are going to be engaged within the plan and to provide input. So school improvement strategies. A couple of these are going to look familiar from the turnaround plan, also in the targeted improvement plan, and that is intentional. Since coming last year, we've had a lot of conversations about how to build systems and consistency. And so one of the center points of any of the turnaround plans and school improvement plans is the Blue Bonnet Math implementation. And our partnership with Region 13 to facilitate continued and ongoing training for both teachers and the campus leaders and district managers, and also that embedded support and then ongoing observations and feedback. Also Papaya Tutoring, getting ready to fully jump off, and I saw emails going back and forth on Friday about when that date is. It's sometime, I think, this week. Miss Austin, who's in the audience today, was really pushing to get that started. Over at Blake Mader, they're, in terms of reading, part of their school improvement strategy is to focus on the daily fluency routines and then guided reading in small groups. And finally, Ms. Austin has been working to strengthen the MTSS framework and implementing it with fidelity. So that is, in a nutshell, and you saw the full text of the 50-plus page targeted improvement plan is found in your board agenda. Opening it up for questions.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Trustees, any questions? We're good to go, sir.
Onward and upward.
6.
We now will take a look at the Bluebonnet Trail Elementary School Targeted Improvement Plan. The purpose for the presentation is the same. And they also fell into the Comprehensive Support and Improvement federal rating. And so the school improvement strategies for Bluebonnet Trail, again, we talked about, we built a system around improving math with the Bluebonnet math implementation. Bluebonnet Trail as well. We made a healthy investment in Papaya tutoring with them, and Mr. Rodriguez is working to get that implemented. One of the things that Mr. Rodriguez has brought to the table and has focused on at Bluebonnet Trail is really building a data-driven process during professional learning communities so that when teachers are meeting together at each grade level, that they are looking at the performance data of the students on a regular basis and using that to inform their instructional planning. And then we're also engaging our campus leaders at Bluebonnet Trail with some principal coaching, both through using a consultant and with me to focus that instructional leadership and build that capacity to develop, to really have a keen eye for classroom observations and to be able to deliver bite-sized just coaching that's effective that teachers can implement right in the moment. That's Bluebonnet Trail.
All right.
Do you see a question possibly from Mr. Patterson?
Yeah, not necessarily for either one of the two schools you just spoke to, but in general for all of these turnaround schools. What is the method of informing parents where the kids are academically? Like, I guess the next would be the MOY data coming out. How is that communicated to parents, and how is the sense of urgency that the kids do well on these standardized assessments? How is that communicated to the parents, to the public, prior to the real thing?
This is an excellent question. So one of the things that we're messing around with is the idea of, in our budget situation, but still, I think the most effective way to do that would be to print out hard copies and send them home with parents. In the absence of that, what we have done is working with our calendar committee, have made sure that we have the conference dates, the parent-teacher conferences built back into the calendar, and have really worked towards 100% attendance. And whether you try for that in person, but then you're trying for that Zoom call, and then you're making that third and fourth parent call, just to make sure that that was at the end of September, that we are communicating with the parents, because that's so tough. And then you got the Title I parent input meetings and things like that. But my opinion would be that if we were able, we can email information to parents and things, but sometimes it's that piece of paper in your hand that the kid has in his folder that he might not even realize he has in his folder. Right. Although the next step is also to really have those discussions with kids so that they are aware of their data and are setting goals. Those are things that Mr. Rodriguez and his team are having conversations about in PLCs, and that we do need to build as structures for system
Great. Do we have any questions from the audience for the Bluebonnet Trail Elementary Targeted Improvement Plan? All right. We'll go on to 10.7.
Pioneer Crossing Elementary, Principal Gaston School. And go right to the meat of it. So, got the first two we've talked about, and she's jumped right into the Papaya tutoring. One of the things I want to say, it's not just about Bluebonnet Math implementation, but the campus leaders on Pioneer Crossing have really dived in terms of those classroom observations and providing feedback to the teachers. And so that's something that I know she's focused on as well. But in terms of the main pieces for the school improvement strategies on this targeted plan, reading small group interventions twice a week, targeting students, looking at data in the Amira learning platform and how students are doing on their HMH modules. And then, once again, with Pioneer Crossing, they are looking at strengthening their PLC processes as well. So we know that when those teachers are planning as a team and looking at data together and sharing their expertise, that's the just-in-time learning from each other that really can grow a team.
It seems that Papaya tutoring is a major component in these improvement strategies. Could you kind of explain to the public what Papaya? It's not a drink, you know. It's a
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And pardon me for not doing it earlier. Papaya tutoring is really I think, kind of a paradigm-shifting tutoring system for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's an international company, and it is virtual. It's one-on-one with students, and they are able to pair a student, and they've been great about it so far, in whatever language they speak. So like one of the, I should have brought photos, but this is a short presentation. I can share them off my phone. But I saw a student, I was at Decker the other day, and I saw with my own eyes a couple of students that I've seen multiple times that I've never seen them talk before. And they're very quiet, and they speak Pashto. And I saw both of the students that, there's more than two, but the two I've been kind of keeping an eye on, and I saw these, 7th grade girls chatting it up with their tutor. I mean, I'm like, oh, see, they're not quiet. They just, are waiting for somebody to talk to. And I saw them doing math, too, which was even also an added bonus. And so it's one-on-one, it's virtual, it's also outcomes-based. So they receive a portion of their pay, and then if they meet our goals, which if we meet our goals, it's going to be awesome. And a couple of us have committed to getting tattoos of papayas on our shoulders if we get there. But if we get an A, I'm in. I'm in. I'll get one right here. But it's outcomes based, which means if they make their goal, if we all make our goals, there's a bonus in it for them. If we don't make our goals, they don't get all their money. And so we all have skin in the game with this. And Papaya has skin in the game, and they've been able. One of the things we wondered about, and it's a work in progress, but how fast could they scale up? Because this is a pretty big project, and they have been doing an exceptional job, and not just with getting tutors, but also with even though it's international, we have boots on the ground here in Manor that are showing up at campuses and having face-to-face meetings. Dr. Adams and Dr. Gonzalez. Dr. Gonzalez is a former superintendent, and just met with them last week. I've had like 8 meetings with the Papaya, the CEO and owner. And so even though they're all over the world, they're right here with us and getting it set up. And they kicked off the 3 main campuses from the turnaround plan some weeks ago. And once you voted in the plan last time, we're spooling it up district-wide. So super exciting time. Okay, sorry, I'm going backwards. We don't want to do that. any public.
Do we have any questions from the audience? We already got some clarity here on the papaya.
Yes, ma'am.
I think there's no questions, we can move on to the last one, 10.8.
Yep, Maynard High School. So, same reasons for the target improvement plan. When we get to the strategy, you'll see, there's some systems pieces, but some are a little bit different. So Bluebonnet math implementation, it's algebra only. Although, geometry and algebra 2 are going to be available next year, so we'll have that conversation, over the next couple of months. And, papaya tutoring, we are really, I think we have the opportunity to make a substantial impact with our first-time testers over at the 9th grade center with Algebra 1, English 1, and English 2. Almost every kid's going to be getting some action on the tutoring, and really, I think that's the kind of investment you got to make something different happen. And that will be happening during advisory. We are really, conversation for another time, maybe after the meeting, but we've got a lot of different interventions happening during advisory as well, and Saturday school.
We just
Smith's
have to
got
make
Saturday
sure
school.
staff utilizes advisory for academic reasons and not non-academic reasons.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I honestly think the tutoring portion of advisor will be the easiest one to stand up because kids show up and log in and get on. That's the easiest one to manage. The more flexible grouping where students may be at, going to one class to get this English support, even for like this English, unit assessment. And then, next week, ideally, you're getting, you'd be moving around a little bit, but that's hard. That is hard to coordinate. I'm going to be super happy to see the papaya tutoring going, and then see maybe some even we're working on some semi-permanent intervention groups for students who are not first-time EOC testers, our second time and third time. We've also been working much more, restarting, but I think I don't need it anymore. We are much closer, or we're working much, continuing to strengthen our relationship with MEA too, and getting some of our seniors some earlier support there, and even attending there if they need to. So we're making sure that they graduate, and so super excited about that too.
Wonderful.
And you can't see it, but it would say public hearing.
Yeah, if we have any questions from the audience regarding Maynard High School public hearing targeted improvement plan. Any additional questions from our trustees? We're good to go. Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to consent agenda items, 11.1 to 11.12. Do you have a motion?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the consent agenda items 11.1 through 11.12 as presented.
I have a motion by trustee Patterson for consent agenda items 11.1 through 11.12. Do I have a second? I have a second by trustee Rodriguez Barnett. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. It passes 7-0. Okay. Now we're going to move on to action items. 12.1, consideration and approval of renewal of good cause exception for Maynard ISD.
Madam President, I move.
Go ahead.
I move that the board approve the good cause exception of lack of qualified personnel and direct the chief of police to continue to implement the alternative plan allowed under House Bill 3.
I have a motion by trustee Lowry for action item 12.1. Do I have a second? I have a second by trustee Patterson and trustee Thomas. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 7-0. Now, I go to action item 12.2, consideration and approval policy GKD local facilities. Do I have a motion, or I hear Mr. Martinez is muted. I can't hear him.
No.
We can't hear him.
Yeah, could we call him and put him on?
He's what? Muted off what? You're muted on your side? It's still muted, but,
Can we just put him on speaker and then put the mic to him?
tell him, Dr. Sarmani's calling you so we can hear what you're trying to say. And he's gonna put you on the mic. Okay.
Yeah, Madam President, I wanted to do both, actually. I wanted to maybe make a comment and then make a motion regarding action item 12.2. So with many of the many examples that we've had tonight on some of the district financial challenges that we have in front of us, including rising costs of operating and maintenance, this is one of those areas that when we're adopting policies, we are adopting policies that are a responsible use of taxpayer funds and maintenance on facility use. So this is one of the many things I think that we're going to have to look at very closely when we're meeting these challenges, so that when in the future we're faced with some tough decisions that we may have to make, that we try to minimize the human impact. So having said that, I wanted to make a motion to table this action item for further discussion before we vote on it.
Okay, so Trustee Martinez is making a motion to table the consideration and approval policy GKD local regarding facilities. I guess he wants to look at everything a little bit more in detail. So I have that motion by Trustee Martinez to table the 12.2. Do I have discussion or do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a second by Trustee Lowry. If there's no further discussion by any of our board members, I can already take that vote now, since we have a first and a second to table action item 12.2. So if all those in favor to tabling item 12.2, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay. Trustee Rodriguez, Martinez, it passes 7-0, and then we'll bring it up forward. Can you also make a comment, Dr. Sarmani, if this is not such a pressing issue on the policy?
Yes, Madam President. GKD local, although there are some changes that need to be made based on our legal counsel's recommendation, this is not something that has to be done tonight. And so we can certainly talk more, and I will certainly review in one-on-one with any trustee who wants to, with the intention to bring it back on December 17th, which is, I think it's not December 17th, I'm sorry, December 15th, that's the next board meeting.
And the good thing is that we've had a lot of good minutes, so we should be good in this. So I really appreciate everybody's time here. And I guess if we don't have anything else, I'm going to do the next confirmation of the regular board meeting, which is December the 15th. And I can entertain a motion to adjourn if anybody wants to make that motion. I have a motion by Trustee Dr. Thomas.
Or it's to.
Do I have a second?
Adjourn.
Second by Trustee Howard. All those in favor? I pass a 7-0. We're good to go. Good night.